there is one group of insects we depend on more than others. For over 140 million years, bees have developed hand in hand with flowering plants. Every third mouthful of food that people eat is dependent on bees. Witness what life is like when you're busy as a bee. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway because bees don't care what humans think is impossible. The birth of a bee. The honeybee starts its life off as an egg within each cell inside a honeycomb. After 3 days, the bee will hatch into a worm-like form called a larva. The larva will grow into a pupa. Eventually, its legs, eyes and wings will develop along with the little hairs that cover its body. After 7 to 14 days in this stage, depending on the type of bee, the now adult bee chews its way out of the cell. Bees perform the critical act of pollination. The life of a bee is completely geared to exploiting flowers for nectar and pollen. This acts as a rich food supply for the bee and its offspring. As a bee enters a flower to feed on nectar and gather pollen, some of the pollen sticks to the bee's body. When the bee flies onto a flower, it deposits some of the pollen from that flower onto the next flower it visits, resulting in fertilization, allowing the plant to reproduce. Pollination is a fascinating natural history, and it is an essential ecological survival function. Without pollinators, the human race and all of Earth's terrestrial ecosystems would not survive. More than 150 food crops in the US depend on pollinators, including almost all fruit and grain crops. Honeybees. The Western or European honeybee, Apis mellifera, is one of the best-known species and is commonly kept by beekeepers in hives who then harvest their honey. In the wild, they nest in tree trunks and natural caves and large crevices. They may sometimes make use of man-made structures, such as chimneys. Bumblebees. Bumblebees are excellent pollinators of many kinds of flowers and are a welcome and familiar sight in gardens. Their efficiency as pollinators is partially down to their fairy body, but also because they are some of the bees able to buzz-pollinate. Most species are social, but there are also parasite species, known as cuckoo bumblebees. These parasitic bumblebees inhabit the nests of other bumblebee hosts. Leafcutter bees. If you're lucky, you may catch a glimpse of leafcutter bees snipping neat segments of leaf from a plant or bush, or perhaps making a nest in your bee hotel. Leafcutter bees cut neat segments of leaf or petal with their jaws. They return this to the site of their nest and use it for constructing their egg cells in existing crevices and hollow plant stems. Leafcutter bees are common in gardens, but look out for them in other environments too. Mason bees. Mason bees make nests in crevices, sometimes in old mortar or even empty snail shells. Belonging to the genus Osmia, the name means odor, referring to the scent they use to mop their nest entrances. Mining bees. Mining bees are solitary, although females usually build nests quite close to each other. Andrena species are important for pollination of some key crops, such as blueberries, apples and cranberries. From the name, you probably guessed that mining bees excavate tunnels and cells underground. If you're lucky, you may see evidence of them in your garden, little mounds of earth in lawns, borders that look a bit like worm cusps. In general, they seem to prefer sandy soil. One way you can help bees is by not using pesticides. Pesticides are neurotoxic to bees and other insects and can have a devastating impact on local garden pollinators. Another way to help bees is to make a garden and plant bee-friendly flowers of different sizes and shapes and plant in clumps to make foraging a breeze. Only source local honey. Get to know your local beekeepers and support this important industry. Large commercial honey brand often pass off adulterated honey, which blends cheap sugar or other sweeteners into their honey in order to lower their costs and improve their profits. One final way to help the bees is to help protect your environment by recycling, wasting less water, and planting a tree.